You're the ones that we've been waiting for to take another stride to offer the best alternative that Uganda requires. I want to bring the apologies from the Honorable Norbert Mao, the President General of the Democratic Party. He communicated to the leader of opposition, our leader. Apart from being a party president, he's also an elder in Acholi and is away to attend a burial of the foreign grandson of Uganda, the General Paul Okech. The Honorable Mpuga, I want to appreciate you and your team. You've written history. I know several people have spoken many things about the people that are in the opposition, and particularly the current leadership. But you've disproved many, and I know that we will walk and take this walk and walk the talk. I'm sure that we'll disprove Uganda, and that will be the best alternative that Uganda has been waiting for. The Democratic Party believes in a constructive engagement. I know that there is a leader of opposition, but there are also political parties where we come from. We have the Democratic Party, we have PPP, we have UPC, we have JEMA, and I believe that these engagements can help for us to have a sense of ownership to drive the agenda of the Uganda that we want to see, to drive the agenda of the Uganda that works for us. At the iPod, we say, we put Uganda forward. And despite of all our parties, we want to put Uganda forward. That's what Frank and Nimud always emphasizes, putting Uganda forward. And I want to appreciate you for also thinking about the Netherlands Institute for Multi-Party Democracy and iPod. And Frank, I want to implore you to support these processes because it's a very, very, very good process that requires actualization. And with your support, we believe that we can take Uganda to the next destination, the Canaan that we're waiting for. The Honorable Leader of Opposition captured exactly what the DP has been talking about. As you may be aware that the first leader of opposition was DP, and therefore the mother of multi-party dispensation is the Democratic Party. And I want to appreciate that indeed DP did a good nurturing of Honorable Mpuga and the rest of the team. You can see. We commit the Democratic Party that we will walk this journey together, but there are some key pillars that I believe is very important. You captured a lot of the things that we believe in. First, we believe that as the opposition, we should provide servant leadership to the people that sent us to this house, to the people that put us in these positions. Servant leadership is key. The government that we are opposing now, the government that we want to remove, I think has not provided the direct line on servant leadership. We are leading a very divided Uganda. The question on national reconciliation is a key thing that Honorable Mpuga and the team, we want it to come on the forefront. National reconciliation. The country is torn to the level that when you go to hospital, you want to find, is this Dr. Samia, is he Mgisu, is he? The country is torn apart. People don't want to look at you as a Ugandan. And I think the question on national reconciliation should be on the top agenda of what we want to discuss as a nation. The question on a new consensus for Uganda, which Uganda is this? We've reached a level where you don't even want to introduce yourself as Ugandan. There are people who think they are more Ugandan than others. We believe that the question on a new consensus of this project called Uganda is very important for us to have on our agenda. And I believe that it was very, very captured for the question on uniting the nation and the question on going back to the building block. You would not hear some of the proposals that government want to propose For instance, the questions that we put in terms of which land is this, how much land can one person own in Uganda? The question on ending corruption is key. I want to appreciate you. It's a cancer, and every regime, every time the regime takes oath, they continue just changing the name. Now we are talking parish model. The other day, Kisanja Kuna Mchezo. I don't know what will be next. But I think for me, you provide a solid proposals on how we should deal with that. The shared properties. It's very important that we talk about this project Uganda. We who come from the east, what do we get from this country? Those from the central, what do they get from this country? Those from the west, what do they get from this country? And we propose, as a Democratic Party, that we should also come up with a proposal of the Stolen Assets Tribunal. Several assets of the country have been stolen. We believe that we should come up with that tribunal as an agenda so that we get to know which assets have been stolen. Several people have been taken to prison, but they serve and come out, and then they continue enjoying what they stole. I think on the question of corruption, we would go an extra mile. The Honorable Mpuga, we believe that your team is a very solid team, backed by a very, very, very solid and experienced civil service wing. The question on establishing the National Youth Service is very important, that we train our people, our men, young men and women. A lot of our people and leaders are within that category, within that age. So I think we must establish so that schools like the Uganda Management Institute get back to originality of what they were supposed to do. Education has become a business. It's not more of a service. It's about a business. And we believe coming up with proposals like for the National Youth Service will help us as a country. There are bills that the former parliament or MPs had worked on. For instance, our own Riando Komakech had come up with a bill that we believe is important to capture. Enact the war crimes, the war victims compensation as an act. Several people have suffered out of war in areas where Honorable Lasso and where we come from, the areas of Honorable Burenda, up today. People are still talking about their compensation, stretching up the areas of where Honorable Zake comes from. I think when we have a proper way of compensating the war victims, this is going to help the Ugandans believe that the blood they shed finally has birthed something. Honorable Mpuga, we appreciate the proposal on reduction on the size of parliament. I think that should go even up the local level. People are eating rats today because of a district. Where we come from, we have a sub-county in our area that has operated for 5 years, but they don't even have a building to house a sub-county. They still rent in the former sub-county for 5 years. They don't even have a private person that has built a sub-county, a house in that place that can house a sub-county. So I think we believe that we should think critically on the question on the size of parliament, the size of our local government, and also the size of the administrative costs that we spend. We also believe and propose that the system of government, DP is a promoter of the proportional representation. It will assure us of the quality. It will also reduce this question on the size that we're talking about. And the Honorable Robert Chagulanyi, for instance, the votes he got, if it was under proportional representation, he would be having like 150 MPs. Because proportional representation comes with the scores that you have done. And it helps that every small institute and parties that we call developing, they may end up getting at least a member in the House. So we think that this period, we will contribute to the question on the proportional system of government. They are working well in Southern Africa, and you can see that they have peace because everybody comes on table. The question on national dialogue, I didn't hear it, but I think is a very passionate question that should move hand in hand with the national reconciliation. And as DP, we pledge our commitment to working together with you on that line. DP has a concept and a policy alternative on devolution. When you talk about Kenya, I'm happy you referred to Kenya in your presentation. It's our good neighbor. Devolution is a reality that takes development within the area of whatever collection that they do. The local governments have become tax collectors. They just collect and then remit to government. And then they have to go through a process of begging the money that they have collected to their people. Then it has to get back to work. The Honorable Narima here can testify around this question that you collect money. The leaders that are collecting money are NUP in these areas, are DP, are FDC, are JEMA, and your people are looking at you for offering a service. You have collected the money, but you cannot even use that money to offer service. You instead have to beg central government to remit the money. So I believe that that's a question that Ugandans are going to support. Finally, the opposition should take lead in issues that affect the nation. As we speak now, we have the government that sometimes pretends to be doing the work that opposition should be doing. Look at the question of Myoga. That should be an opposition-led initiative. But there was a bypass, and it will die at the end of the day. Look at the question of the COVID fund. The opposition should be leading the processes like those. But now government pretends, and then they go and put a commission on the other side. So I believe that the opposition might be smaller, but for the purpose of leading the country and providing alternatives, the opposition can be visible and can respond to issues that affect the nation, that affect Ugandans, and we should be seen at the forefront of not forgetting the core value. We can be opposition, but just like the speaker said, that's not our final destination. Our final destination should be on the other side, providing leadership, and I want to see the NRM also on the side where we are sitting, so that we give them the alternative. You can imagine if we're on the other side, and with this very, very good presentation, I believe Uganda by 2026 would have been in Canaan. But not forgetting and still believing that if we walk to this talk and make sure that we mobilize people to have ownership, that this policy agenda also is driven up to the local districts, that all our political parties are part of the process of building and promoting this policy agenda, I believe that we will put the cabinet and the government on its toes, because now it's going to be responding and providing answers. Everything that they propose, I believe this policy legislative agenda will provide us an answer, and it will also improve the quality of what we want to do, because every time we go to the House, we will be debating based on a well-researched work that has been proposed here. I want to appreciate you once again and commit my party and commit our membership in Parliament that we are going to work together to the journey of Canaan. I beg to submit for truth and justice.
Thank you very much, Dr. Siranda. Can you give him a round of applause, please? So far, we have heard from 4 of the parties represented in the opposition here at Parliament. Could I now invite Honorable Joab Businge, the Honorable Member for Masindi Municipality, to speak to us on behalf of the Forum for Democratic Change. Thank you very much.
The party president, NOP, the leader of opposition, the shadow cabinet, leaders of the different political parties, civil society, the technical team, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, I'm Businge Joab, Member of Parliament, Masini Municipality, and Member of NEC, Secretary for Agriculture in the FDC. First of all, I would love to congratulate the Leader of Opposition and whoever you have worked with for the successful launch of the alternative legislative agenda, which is testimony that it is the first of its kind. It saves us the embarrassment of the continuous accusation that as opposition, we have no alternative to offer. I think from here, we move with our heads up. Ladies and gentlemen, the FDC was invited. I've been reliably informed, and I've tried to connect with the Chief Administrative Officer at the party headquarters, and also the party president, Honorable Amri Atoboy. And I'm here to register his apology on behalf of the party that the time the invitation arrived at headquarters, he was caught up with body arrangements of his foreign sister, who was laid to rest yesterday and is still up country in Kumi. So he has asked me to thank you for this effort and to assure you that he is part of you and is ready to support this agenda. Ladies and gentlemen, I do not intend to take much here, but only to add a voice and say that as opposition, we need to work together. For me, I have grown from a rural environment, and we used to go hunting. You don't share the animal before it dies. So when you go to hunt, you must collectively and tirelessly work without demanding what is going to be your share. But you first chase the game, have it killed, then you sit and settle. I think this is a big challenge with the opposition. Before we get into government, I think the issue of positions, who is where, who is doing what and what, is preoccupying us. So, Leader of Opposition, I want to thank you for bringing us together, and I pray that all opposition parties should focus on having the animal killed first. Then we can sit and sort ourselves. With this brief permission, I want to wish you a successful conclusion of this function. Thank you very much for listening to me.
Thank you very much, Honorable Businge, on behalf of the Forum for Democratic Change. Now, so far, we have heard from Alliance for National Transformation. We have heard from the People's Progressive Party, from the Justice Forum, JEMA, from Uganda People's Congress, from the Democratic Party, and from the Forum for Democratic Change. As we wind up from the political parties, it now gives me an honor to invite the party president of the National Unity Platform, Honorable Kyagulanyi Robert Sentamu, to kindly come and share some words on this event. Honorable, please.
Thank you very much, Master of Ceremonies. The Right Honorable Leader of Opposition in the 11th Parliament, the Chief Opposition Whip, Deputy Chief Opposition Whip, the Acting Coordinator of the Alliance for National Transformation, the Honorable Alice Alaso, the Lord Mayor who just left, Party President of the Justice Forum, the Honorable Asumani Vasalirwa, my good friend. The Secretaries General from the People's Progressive Party, Mr. Alira David, from the Uganda People's Congress, Honorable Ebil, from the Democratic Party, the Honorable Gerard Siranda, and from the National Unity Platform, Mr. David Lewis Rubongoya. The shadow cabinet members, the leadership of the National Unity Platform members are present today. Honorable members of Parliament, ladies and gentlemen, I'm delighted today to be present as our parliamentary front launches their legislative agenda, which amazingly is the first of its kind in the history of Uganda. More particularly, I'm delighted that the legislative agenda focuses on areas among many such as the electoral reforms, curbing wasteful spending, service delivery, especially in the areas of education and health, and the participation and performance of our members of parliament. We all know, and it has actually been mentioned, that we've been severally criticized as a group that has no clear agenda, as a group that would sink this country if we ever take power. Many times we've been criticized to be a group that has no alternative policy. Although I've been many times encouraging such critiques to read our manifesto, the manifesto of the National Unity Platform, and indeed the manifestos of other parties, the ANT manifesto, the FDC manifesto, and the DP manifesto, I further want to encourage them to read this legislative agenda, because this legislative agenda largely covers, it's largely a reflection of our manifesto. So I know that such people criticize us that way simply because they try to cover the truth. And I'm very honored to see that every now and then the truth protrudes out and manifests itself. I salute you once again, friends. Honorable members, allow me to once again congratulate you for emerging victorious from an extremely, extremely violent election. We will all agree that the election in which you emerged winners was more or less a war front, and if it was a less violent election, we would have much, much more members in this House. But we are here, and we have to work with what is here today. While we are here, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind you that the common person down there in the common places, in the rural areas, in the ghetto, the common Ugandan is still skeptical about whether this parliament is capable of performing its mandate. You will agree with me that this parliament, like all other institutions of government, have been vulgarized. This parliament in particular has on many occasions, but more particularly on the age limit debate, has cast itself in very bad light with the people. So while you have a duty to, restore confidence of the people in this parliament, I want you to know the reality of where you are, the reality of the way things are. Friends, we are in a military dictatorship. I will say it again for clarity. We are in a military dictatorship. People largely have no faith in this parliament. So you must not sit here and forget the reality. You must not sit here and forget what is in the minds and eyes of the people that you represent here. Of course, it's very, very important to know. Well, you know that already, but it's important to remind you that the parliament and the judiciary are largely used, to cast an image of democratic rule and constitutionalism in this country. They're only used to cover the truth. That is the reality of the matter. We all know that real power does not rest in these institutions, but rather in the hands of those that have the guns. So we must remind ourselves of that, ladies and gentlemen. Of course, one may ask, why then are we in parliament? Why then do we have a leader of opposition? Why are we here in the first place? The Baganda say, omuzizi azimbya twe. We made it clear right from the beginning that we will use every available front, every available office to further the fight, the struggle for true freedom, justice, for true democracy in this country. And that is why we're here. We are not in the opposition because that's right, our rightful position. No. We are supposed to be government because people elected us to lead them. But the guns pushed us in this position. And this position we shall use to fight even further, to see that ultimately we get where we are supposed to be, where the people of Uganda rightly placed us. I was recently very encouraged by one of my good friends, now His Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, the President of Zambia. And I was reminded that actually victory is possible, and it is in the near future for us. So friends, while we are here, prepare yourselves not just to be in the opposition. People have trusted us with a little, and the way we perform now is what's going to give them even more confidence to trust us with the entire country. So let's go to work, let's do what we must do, and let us do it with diligence, with confidence, but most importantly, with humility and with integrity. Besides, ladies and gentlemen, we are here because it is not these institutions or organs of government that we say are illegitimate. No, these are legitimate institutions and organs. It is those at the helm of them that are illegitimate. And that's why we want to remove them so that these institutions and organs are not vulgarized any further. I will remind you very briefly of the clear indications of why we say those that rule over us today are illegitimate. Just the other day, yesterday, members of parliament from Greater Luwero, who were together with my wife, by the way, today is our 10th wedding anniversary. And just to remind you, I'm accepting gifts in terms of cash, land titles. Yeah, but on a serious note, friends, just yesterday, the incident in Luwero reminds you further of how we are being misruled. You all know the skyrocketing numbers of teenage pregnancies. You are all aware of the constant lies, year in, year out, term in, term out, of Madam Janet Museveni, the wife of the ruler of this land, who also doubles as Minister of Education and Sports, who also triples as the Maria Antoinette of our generations, has relegated the girl child to such a condition. And even those of you, not just the common citizens, the ordinary citizens, but also members of parliament, have no right to reach out to their people, have no right to extend services to their people. While you sit in this parliament, please be reminded of what happens when you are out of these parliamentary precincts. That's exactly what happens, friends. You all know that recently the chairperson of the local government committee unearthed a rot. You all watched while the apparent prime minister of this country was on TV making a fake call to a fake person, the first purported beneficiary of the COVID relief, was a hoax, was a fraud. Now you know where we are. While we are so comfortable in this AC, we can very easily forget the reality. But the people are watching us. It was your role, our role, to open the eyes of the people. And the eyes are wide open, ladies and gentlemen. Always remember that. Eyes are wide open, and they're looking at us. Allow me, friends, to briefly remind you of our values as the National Unity Platform, but I believe these are supposed to be values of all change-seeking Ugandans. They are 6 words: DRIIFS, drifts. D stands for discipline. R stands for reliability. The first I stands for integrity. The second I stands for inclusiveness. F stands for fidelity. And S stands for service. Please focus on those words, on those letters, focus on those values, and they will guide you. Focus on service delivery. I know that we are living in a messed up country, but let us be the light, let us be the signification of the future and of hope among our people, bearing in mind the kind of country we're living in and the kind of leadership at the top. In fact, the kind of rulership that we are under. I want to remind you, my friends, I was here as a member of parliament, and I know that opposition-led committees are very, very prone to corruption. Please avoid making those opposition committees havens for corruption. I've said it before and I want to say it again, that those are not opportunities to make yourselves rich. People are watching you, and of course we are watching you because we are people of Uganda as well. Avoid being comfortable. Avoid, that's what dictators do. They always want to make the opposition comfortable so that you don't check them. While they rob trillions of taxpayers' money, they throw a few crumbs to you. And if you're not very careful, you can very easily be diverted to such while they rob the nation. But like I said, it was your work, it was our work to awaken the people, and our people are wide awake. They are watching us, they are watching you. And they're going to see us by the way we operate. And they have the right, because we reminded them, they know they have the right to kick us the hell out. So remember that. As I conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I want to remind all of us that where we are as a country is not where we're supposed to be. We all know what the problem of this country is. While we are launching the legislative agenda, while we come here on the microphones and speak very nice words, we all know what the square problem of Uganda is. The problem of Uganda is dictatorship. The problem of Uganda is Mr. Museveni and his dictatorial tendencies. Let us be straight. Let us be true to it. And the solution is removing the dictatorship. So let us focus on removing the dictator, and everything will put itself in place. Now finally, and very finally, I want to encourage, like many speakers have, encourage unity. Friends, we are much weaker if we're not together, and we are much stronger if we're together. The more we are together, it doesn't only benefit our efforts, but even the hope that our people get. We know that we have a common problem. We know that we have a common enemy. We know that we have common objectives. So the more we operate together, We might not belong to the same political parties or political formations, but at least we know that the objective is one. And the enemy to that objective is one. And the solution is one. Everything else is a detail. What unites us is much bigger than what divides us. So let's come together, friends. Let's think together. Because when you come together and think together, you'll find that we'll get solutions that bind us even more together. And when we present ourselves as a united force to the population of Uganda, we'll be taken more seriously than we are taken now. So, like the old saying has been taught to us since childhood, united, we stand. Divided, we fall. So let's choose whether we want to stand or we want to fall. So, with those few remarks, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you. Once again, emphasize on unity and remind us that just by the mere fact that we are here all speaking with one voice, at least for today, that's not a bad start, is it? So let's carry it on. I want to wish you the best of luck in implementing a united opposition legislative agenda. And I want to thank you for listening to me, for God and my country. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. We shall wear the victor's crown. When the struggle is over, we shall wear the victor's crown in a new Uganda. People power. Our power. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chagulanyi. Ugandans, I know you can give a better round of applause than that. To all our distinguished guests, we have listened to various words from all the different shades of political parties here at Parliament. And we really thank you that you have been able to stay and contribute in your various ways. Now, at this juncture, I would like to invite the leader of the opposition to do two things. First of all, we have a very simple gift from the office of the leader of opposition, and I think it is also appropriate because we are celebrating a marriage anniversary, that we shall have a few gifts given out today, and thereafter to officially close our function for the day. So, Honorable Leader of the Opposition.
Thank you, our very able Master of Ceremonies. Ladies and gentlemen, once again, before I make my closing remarks for the day, it's my singular honor to recognize and in memory of this very special day, heralded as the very first of the kind since multi-party returned to motherland, to recognize by way of very humble souvenirs to a few people representing varied shades in this audience. I'll begin with my good sister and friend, Ms. Sarah Videte, to represent civil society, to move with a small souvenir from the leadership of the opposition. Of course, it's not just a present, but an invitation for further engagement and involvement. We know civil society is facing a veiled attack, and we are alive to the attack, and I have sent the signals to my Minister for Internal Affairs to take interest in these matters, so we are alive to the afflictions of that front. Can I also, on your behalf, colleagues, give a small present to the Honorable Ali Salasso on behalf of ANT. You certainly know her as a former very formidable legislator. We found her here. We learned a lot from her. She remains one of the very best this land has ever produced. Please, for NT.
Thank you very much.
Can I also invite our friend David Alila on behalf of PPP? Honorable Shuma, do you call them the growing parties? Developing parties? Yes. PPP bestowed us with the Minister of Special Regions, Honorable Santo Okot, and kindly from us. Then the Honorable Asman Basarirwa for another developing party. Kindly in recognition of your amazing presence, ever presence on the front. Honorable Freddie Bill from the mighty UPC, indomitable, twice in power, Congress of the People, we shall master the art of the state.
The state house is yours.
Thank you. Dr. Gilad Seranda, from the party that sharpened my edges and the edges of so many of my ilk, the DNA does reflect. Thank you. The Honorable Job Businge, thank you so much for your analogy. Hopefully, when eventually the animal falls, we shall not resemble the latest hunter that actually closed out all the other hunters and ate it alone. He not only ate it alone, ate it unboiled. Then to my party president, humbly receive. Could this be the other gift he talks about, or this is different? Next is from the LOP. The others we shall mobilize. This is for this special day. We congratulate you and thanking you for supporting the opposition in Parliament. We shall be there. Thank you. Friends, it's been a long morning, but probably we even hardly recognized how time was flying. Yesterday, I received a call from the Honorable Norbert Mao, registering his apology and entrusting Dr. Sland on behalf of DP. And he told me that as the opposition, we must take cognizance of the fact that the game is on, and the match is on, and the rules are there. But unfortunately, one of the teams is trying to narrow the goalposts, and apparently they have two balls, and that one of the players on one side is the referee, and also bearing cards and brandish them at will. So then we must master either to sit on the pitch and make the game improbable to play, or play with all the attendant fouls and master the game of the other playing unlawful opponent. Those are his words. And it's an honest invitation to all of us to reflect on the world is shared across, that ours is a delicate terrain, but we have only this country to call home. And we have a duty to shape the narrative of politics, to shape the fears, to give assurances to the country that is really gripped with the fear of politics and the politicians. I want to thank you, friends, for this amazing job we've done today. Allow me extend my sincere appreciation to our very able technical team in the Department of Leadership of the Opposition, headed by Mr. Peter Busiku, for the meticulous organization, and the policy analysis team led by Mr. Moses Chiarigonza for an amazing job we've done to provide the necessary technical backstopping that has shaped this day, and look forward to working with the team to ensure that this job is not finished here. I want to assure the parties that we are alive to the desire to further engage. We have only provided the headlines. The details lie in how meticulously we execute this. And can I tell you, friends in Parliament, the biggest job actually is not here. The only difference that where we are offers an official microphone, but should not be blinded by the officialdom that surrounds this place. To be blind to the afflictions of people, the power actually lies outside this building. The power should be summoned. We need to move and summon that power and be able to harness the power that lies with the people. Like I said, these are simply talking points. They're not conclusive. They will need to be reshuffled, remodeled, and rethought to give true meaning to our desperate aspirations. I'm underlining desperation because the country is real, ailing, it's desperate. We can fix it. We can do it. We can master it. We can summon that special energy to surmount what looks insurmountable, because those we fear ultimately fear the people, which can do it. Lastly, friends, we have done all this. The Honorable Robert Chaga, my president, talked about the hawks in what the Prime Minister promised and delivered to the country as the Nabanja Kamani. Allow me to introduce my own Prime Minister, who does not supply air, my dear wife across, and Shazlani Kane, Maria Mpuga. Incredibly, her second name is Nabanja, but does not supply air. She is amazingly supportive. These are our endeavors, lay us bare. But if you do not have a supportive hand, actually, you cannot deliver. I thank her most earnestly for her support. And all of you friends, this journey we have started is not improbable. Live in no fear. We can move it, we can master it. It is our time. Thank you so much for God and my country.
I believe we can give a better round of applause to the Leader of the Opposition. To all our distinguished guests, our function for the day has come to a close. We really thank you, especially all of you who have been able to stay with us from beginning to end. To our media partners, especially NBS, BBS, Telefinder, we thank you for broadcasting the events of today. To the different political parties that have given a different shade